Welcome to Top Tips. Each session, we will provide you with 5 simple tips to help you with your IT or with your data. If you manage or work in a small business, then these tips are specifically for you. Each tip is non-technical and jargon-free. You need no technical experience to use the tip. Each one is intended to be simple and effective. My promise to you, 5 bite-sized tips in no more than 15 minutes. We'll give you the tip and tell you why it is important. It's all positive and not intended to intimidate or scare. If you have any questions, please add to the comments at the bottom and I'll get back to you. This time, we are going to discuss managing your data. This can be quite a complex subject, but we are going to keep it very, very simple. It's all about organizing and storing your data in a very ordered fashion. This enables you to get to what you need and to use it very easily. It's always a good idea to actively manage your data and make sure that you are keeping it well ordered. This means that you avoid unnecessary duplication, make it clear what the data means, and you can present it in an easy-to-use fashion. When working with data, I think we can all agree with the following. You want to be able to trust your information. You want your information to be simple and to be clear. You want to find the right information quickly. You want to reduce the chances of making mistakes. And you want to use it to make the best decisions for your company and for yourself. So, 5 simple tips. Tip number 1. Everyone should use the same data. This is the simple, most fundamental statement associated with data. You need to have clarity in your data and to remove any ambiguity. A classic case here might be where you have 2 managers. One believes that the company has 1,000 customers. The other thinks that the company has 10,000 customers. Clearly, the 2 managers are going to make different decisions. One might think 10,000 customers is great, can relax. The other might be taking drastic action because they are well behind plan. Regardless, this is going to start causing some confusion. The information may be coming from different systems. It could be a simple technical error within a system that needs rectified, but in many cases, this will be nothing to do with technology, but down to the way that the company is managing data. So you must ensure that everyone uses the same data. Ideally, this sits as a central data store, and everyone knows where it is, and everyone uses it to sing from the same hymn sheet. Finally, don't allow anyone to use any other information. People have a habit of finding what they think is better data and using that. Just don't allow it. But do have a process that allows that to be incorporated within your systems if it really is better, and then let everyone benefit from it. Tip number 2, know your hierarchy of trust. The hierarchy of trust deals with situations where you have data coming from different sources and you need to know which data to use when the same records have different information. This could be, for example, that the customer's name is spelt differently in the 2 records, or perhaps it's got a different address. You know they're the same customer, but which of the differing information should you use? The answer is that you must create an order when comparing the data. This is the hierarchy, and it will order the data sources according to which you trust the most. In this example, we've got 2 files. Both have customer information, and we want to use the data from both files. We've decided that file 1 is higher in the hierarchy than file 2. And we would go through both files and we'd compare each record in both files. We then have a simple test. If the record is only in file 1, we use that record. If the record is only in file 2, then we use that record. But if it's in both, then we would use the record from file 1. The hierarchy of trust is the order in which you trust your data sources. The higher the order, the more you trust the data. And you can use this to consolidate all your data whilst resolving discrepancies in a consistent fashion. It can deal with as many data sources as you wish. I've only used 2 in my example for simplicity. But this hierarchy will have been established as a result of checking and testing the data in each file. If we were subsequently to retest the data in the future and find that file 2 had a more trustworthy data, then we would simply just move it higher up the hierarchy. But this must be applied consistently. You mustn't pick and choose data out of either file in an ad hoc manner. Tip number 3. Clear definitions. You need to be absolutely clear on what the data means, and this needs to be communicated consistently. For example, we talked already about the difference in customer numbers. But what is a customer? Are you clear on what that actually means? For some, a customer can be anyone who's purchased from them, regardless of purchase value or type. For others, customers could be anyone who's shown an interest in buying the product. This might be a more long-term relationship. It could be someone who's visited a showroom and registered interested in buying a car, for example. Equally, it could be people who have purchased within a very recent time frame. Each of these scenarios would yield a different number if you were to apply it to the same data file. Now, it doesn't need to be a complicated definition. Simple is always best, but it should be clear and it should be communicated. Never assume that these things are just common sense. Tip number 4. You should always be keeping your information up to date. You need to treat it a little bit like sell-by dates on food products. There may be some information that requires a short-term update. There may be some that can be checked on a longer basis. For example, if you talk to customers on an infrequent basis, maybe they're making a single high-value purchase with a long period of time in between, for example, buying that car, it's not necessary for you to check that the contact details you have for them is correct every single week. But if you're operating with them on a daily basis, then you will want to ensure you're aware of any changes to their details very, very rapidly. It's good practice to record the last time the data was checked or updated and to know how often it should be checked. Then you can run a simple process just to check it whenever its sell-by date arrives. Tip number 5. Finally, it's always good to have some sort of method of verifying the information you're being provided with is accurate and correct. For example, when entering address information, the use of the post office address file is fairly ubiquitous in the UK. This is a third-party application that enables you to validate that the address you are being given exists. That doesn't mean it's accurate, but at least you know it is a correct address. Further validation will be required, but it is important to have ways of checking your information. After all, if you're trusting your business decisions with the data you're using, it's essential to make sure it's as accurate as possible. Finally, now that I've been through these tips, I just want to compare and contrast 2 scenarios. So this is a typical situation where you're not actively managing your data. You may recognize some of these scenarios, and they all arise from having multiple data sources with the same data in different places. In many situations, these boxes may be spreadsheets. Some might be applications or systems, but for the purposes of this, I'm going to assume that they're spreadsheets. It's just easier for us all to visualize. You may have a report, a spreadsheet perhaps with financial information in it. It could be invoices, it could be sales details, it doesn't really matter. You want to connect this to your customer information so that you might be able to calculate your best customers as shown in report number 1. But this data is in multiple spreadsheets and you may have only used one file to do the analysis. The person doing the analysis might not even realize that there are more than one file that they should be using and that they don't have all the information. And somebody may be doing a different set of analysis and is using both customer files and creates another report, report number 2 here. But you can't compare this information to the information in report number 1 because they've got different number of customers. So the two can't be compared directly together. So they're useless in that function. Then you might have a third report, which is taking multiple prospect lists created by different salespeople, combining them together. If the situation's at all realistic, these spreadsheets are going to have different formats. They might be completed in different fashion, and you're going to spend many hours trying to reconcile and contacting the salespeople for the extra information that they have missed out. Compare this with the second example, where all the information is being consolidated into a central source, where the common information that can be used by separate reports, but will all reflect the consistent information that's there. Now, you can run this model using spreadsheets. In this situation, most businesses will have invested some technology to support this, but I don't want you thinking that this is needed. You could, in theory, still do this using spreadsheets if that's what you want. What the difference, though, is that some basic management principles have been applied, and they are being applied across all the data. A lot of work will have gone in to the left-hand side of this diagram in order to ensure that the data is arriving following the common principles. And you can see how easy it will then be to generate these 3 reports. And even if it was in spreadsheets, I'd still see opportunities to automate this and possibly reduce the effort. Now, AIK Advisory believe it can be very easy to move from scenario 1 to scenario 2 and to see the benefits that well-ordered data can offer. Do contact us if you want to see some of these benefits within your organization. I'm Alan Patterson. I work for AIK Advisory. We offer data services and advice. We simplify technology and we operate in a very collaborative fashion. Specific to this, we offer a data security health check, which covers topics like we've been discussing today in far greater detail. We also provide our hierarchy of data needs assessment that ensures that you're using the data in your business in the best possible manner. You can find out more at aikadvisory.com and see some of the nice things that people have said about us there. You can find me at alan.patterson@aikadvisory.com or on LinkedIn. So thank you very much for listening and watching this. I hope to see you soon. That was good.